Hello and welcome to episode number 104 of the Hobbies and Happiness podcast, where we talk about the hobby that makes us happy, card games. I'm one of your hosts, Dan.
I'm Jim. Today we're going over the dark side of GenCon.
I was wondering what you came up with because when you started, so for those of you listening, which is everybody who's here. So we normally we're like, all right, ready to go, and then Jim gets to think of his intro, and then he starts laughing. I'm like, oh geez, what did he come up with now?
That wasn't too crazy.
That was actually pretty good. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
So we're talking about Star Wars Unlimited at GenCon. Last week, we had the great joy of having Teddy in the studio. That Teddy, who doesn't know the steps of playing Disney and Lorcana, apparently.
He knows.
Being everything out of order.
Yeah.
But does he, though?
Sorry, he was just fast-handing it.
Yeah.
He's fast-handed.
Could be. Anyway, so that was a blast. If you haven't checked out that episode yet, be sure to head back. We'll be sure to link that here as well. Had a lot of fun talking all about Disney Lorcana at GenCon. And we talked a little bit about Star Wars Unlimited. We did let you guys know that that's what this week's episode is going to be all about, is Star Wars Unlimited. So we're going to do that. But before we get into it, we need to talk about our sponsor, Amazon Audible. If you head over to our affiliate link at www.audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness, you can sign up for your free 30-day trial of Amazon's Audible service. Amazon Audible is Amazon's audiobook service. When you sign up, you get a free credit added to your account. But if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get 2 free credits added to your account. So again, when you sign up, get that free credit added to your account. You can redeem it for any audiobook on the service. That's right. Sign up, get those free credits, get those free books added to your account. And what's better is if you don't like the service, you don't want to pay for the service, you can cancel your subscription before the end of that 30 days, and you still get to keep those free credits onto your account. So again, www.audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness. Sign up for your free 30-day trial of Amazon's Audible today. All right, so Star Wars Unlimited.
Yes.
So Star Wars Unlimited, we were able to check that out on day 1 of GenCon. So we arrived at GenCon. We had we basically had our meeting with FFG around 11 o'clock on Thursday. So we made good time in getting to GenCon.
Yep.
And then when we got there, we were able to hang out with a bunch of people beforehand. And then we got to our demo and our meeting. And in all honesty, when we were getting ready, I was looking forward to it. I was very much looking forward to it. And before we had our meeting, we were able to meet Danny Schaefer, one of the lead game designers for Star Wars Unlimited. Got to chat with him for a little bit. That was great. That was a lot of fun. And then able to already meet quite a few other people on the FFG team. And that was fun. You know, and we talked about this last week, but like getting to meet all these people, it was just one of the best things about GenCon, you know. What was your? Did you have an overall takeaway of the FFG folks? Because they all seem like awesome people.
Yeah, I mean, it was. We weren't there for very long, but yeah, they hooked us up. Not because we're amazing content creators.
But we are.
But we are. But yeah, they were just in general really, really good people.
Yeah, it was actually funny. When we first met Xander. Xander is I can't remember what his title is. I think he's the community engagement specialist. Very cool guy. You know, for all of you out there who know Xander, you're awesome, man. Keep doing awesome work, my friend. But we were chatting with him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I watched your guys's your episode where you went through the rules when I first basically introduced you to the game, going through that, and he really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun just going through that with you. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we chatted about that. That was a blast. And so we were talking, and then we got into our demo. So the bulk of this episode, I just want to talk all about our experience with that demo, because in all honesty, when we played that demo, it gave me a lot of really good information.
Yeah.
So real quick, like what are your your rapid fire first initial takeaways from that demo to start off.
Oh man, it was extremely different than a bunch of other card games.
Which for you, Jim, that's tending to be a good thing, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it kind of is, because I've been playing these games for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I started Magic, which I found out like 7 years ago, almost like 7 years ago.
Did you
to
start
the day.
like a year before me?
It was Kaladesh. I
yeah,
started, so
right,
a
which
little
was-
before Kaladesh.
Yeah, because I started Dominaria, which wasn't that like a year. It was like ish.
Yeah, it was the end of like the stuff with Ixalan. So
Yes.
the 4 set with Kaladesh, Our Devastation,
Yes.
and then Ixalan, and then the end of that. So
those like
close to 2 years.
Was it close to 2 years?
Yeah, because it was the end of the next year. So, right before a new block came out, rotating out Kaladesh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Anyway, I was just curious, like because I know we started around the same time.
Yeah,
right?
You were close to 2 years after.
with Magic, with Magic specifically. But anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I've just been playing these card games for quite some time, and having something different is amazing to me, which is why I liked Vanguard so much, because you just like reveal off the top to see if you get any extra ability or utilizing it as a damage piece.
When we were just talking about Lorcana before that, and you were mentioning like that's kind of why that kind of drives you to that as well, because it's so different.
Yeah, it's so different.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's different, yet it's so familiar.
Well, and this is definitely another topic for another day. But like we were talking about a few card games before we started recording. We were talking about Lorcana, Star Wars Unlimited, and Alpha Clash, and all of them are different. But it's just like Alpha Clash is more similar.
Yeah,
is more similar than different to some. And like you think that. I mean, you didn't say this, but I don't know if you think that detracts from it. Or it's just like it's too similar. Like the other two are just much more different, and you're not left wanting something more. More. I know what I'm trying to say. It's one of those like. Again, in comparisons to Magic, right?
Yeah.
These two being Lorcana and Star Wars Unlimited are just vastly different.
Yeah.
And so there's really no room for similarities to where you're not looking for that magic thing.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
that rule or whatever. But Alpha Clash is still very different, but it still shares a lot of similarities to where you're like, you can make connections to where
a lot easier.
like Alpha Clash does it differently, but it's still close to this Magic thing, and I prefer the way Magic does it, or like any game, right? It doesn't even matter what game we're talking about. So like when you're just vastly different, there's really nowhere to make any correlations.
I'm kind of just enjoying the game for what it is, because there's really nothing close to it.
And that's why, and I think what I wanted to say when we were talking about this earlier was, because I've had to do this myself, is I have to stop myself from making the comparisons. And I think we all do. Like when we're talking about any card game, like, I mean, this goes for Star Wars Unlimited, this goes for Lorcana, literally any card game, right?
Yeah.
You have to look at it, you have to look at the game in a vacuum and compare it just within the context of the game itself. Not saying, well, let's compare it to Magic or let's compare it to anything else.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, then you've kind of lost the conversation, because like that's not what we're trying to look at it and appreciate it for what it is and not what we think it should be or for what it could be, but you have to look at it for what it is. And then when you have something that's very similar to something else, it makes that much more difficult, right? But it's like with Lorcana specifically, as well as Star Wars Unlimited, it's a lot easier to not do that, because it's just very different than any other game. So now let's like looking specifically at Star Wars Unlimited, like, is there anything out there that really you'd compare it to? I mean, the one game that I had thought of was Ashes, Ashes Reborn. Well, just Ashes in general. That system is kind of similar. It's kind of similar.
Yeah, with the whole I do something, you do something, I do something, back and forth play.
Right.
So yeah, it is very similar to that, but I haven't played a lot of that,
Right.
and it's not like it's a huge TCG
No,
that's
no,
out in the
right,
market.
right. But it's also helpful for any new player to any game,
Yeah.
right? To make connections when you're learning.
Yep.
And that's where it's helpful. But I
Sure.
think once you've learned it, then you need to turn that off.
Yeah.
That's when you need to turn it off. So like if you're getting into Star Wars Unlimited, and let's say you've played Ashes. Excuse me. It might be beneficial for you as a new player learning the game to make those connections, say, oh, okay, this is similar to this game that I've played before.
So you can understand.
So you can
it.
kind of understand the game better, right?
Yeah.
But once you've got that understanding under your belt, then I think you have to turn that off. You do have to turn that other game off, because then it can take you away from the experience you're having with this new game.
Yeah.
And then also hinder your future learning, because again, if you continually look to that other game, right, and then say, well, that's not how they did it here, then it can just throw you off. And it can also take you away from your enjoyment of this new thing, right? And we were like literally just talking about this as well, right? But that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I still think it's an important skill to master, right? And I think especially for people like us as card game players, content creators who we like to try a lot of different games. For me, and again, like it's a very personal thing too, because it's like you like what you like.
Yeah.
You like what you like, and like you're never going to turn that off.
Yeah.
You're never going to turn that off, right? But I'm interested in your take on this, okay? Because we're kind of veering off topic a little bit, but I think this is kind of interesting. But I found myself, okay, enjoying more things when I keep myself open to more games, okay, more experiences, more games, and then trying to shut off that, okay, let's stop the comparisons. But then there are times where those comparisons, they're just too much. Like it's too much to handle. I mean, it's all a personal thing. It's all a personal preference. And I think the thing, and I like I just said, that I tend to come back to is, I mean, we like what we like, and you're never going to turn that off.
Yeah.
Right. But
you're
like
always going to see patterns and things if you've been around for a bit.
Right.
So.
Right. And I think personally, I have to tend to look for the good in things than the negative in things, because if I just keep looking for the negatives in things, I'm never going to enjoy anything new. Yeah. And like this happened with Magic for like me personally for a few years. Like that's all I was playing was Magic. Yeah. And then it just got to, let me try this new thing. And then comparing it to Magic, it was like, well, then what am I doing? Like I'm just stuck playing the same thing that I know, like it was comfortable because I knew it, right? It's comfortable. And then I'm just comparing everything to Magic, which has been around for 30 years now, right? And then if you compare everything to a game that's been around 30 years, you're never going to venture outside of that. What do you do? I don't know.
It's difficult. You have to,
because again,
you have to talk to yourself about being able to step out and stop just approaching everything through a Magic lens.
Yeah, and I think one thing you should do is, like, let's say you're a Magic player, right? Just stop for a second and look and say, okay, why do I enjoy Magic? Yeah. Okay. Is it just it's a card game? Because like for me, it was a card game, and it was been around for a long time. It's got a rich history. It's a giant card pool, and we were talking to I think when we had Steven DM Armada on the podcast, we were talking about Magic, and we're like, oh, I just play Commander. He's like, well, that's what everybody, just stop right there. Everybody says that now, which is true, right? Yeah. And that's the only context for me. Like that's the only context in which I play anymore is Commander. I mean, these other formats are still alive and well, right? They are, right?
They just had a pro tour for modern, so yeah. Lord of the Rings was the modern play.
But what I would suggest though is honestly just take a step back and say, okay, what is it that I specifically enjoy about Magic? Yeah. Right? You have to look inward and really evaluate your own preferences, because once you do that, then you can actually look, because the trading card game market right now is vast. There's a lot of amazing games. Okay?
Yeah,
a
lot.
Like we're talking specifically on our channels a lot about Lorcana, Star Wars Unlimited, and Alpha Clash, right? But there are similarities between those games and many other TCGs. Like again, if you're a Magic player, inspect, look, and say, okay, what is it that I like about this game? Then look at the market and say, okay, there are these other games out here that do this same mechanic very similarly. Okay. I mean, when we sat down to play Star Wars Unlimited, right? Again, for me, when I look at it, when I approach a new game, make those initial connections, say, okay, it's like game X, it's like game Y in this sense. Okay. And then again, from a learning, and say, hey, I like this about that game, or I don't like this about that game. Okay. Then it helps personally connect the dots and then say, okay, maybe this is an experience I will enjoy. Okay. I like Magic. Okay. This game is similar to Magic in this way, but it's dissimilar to Magic in this way. I don't know if I like that. But if you are, so do that initially, right? From the standpoint of learning. Okay. Then it'll help you evaluate whether or not it might be an experience you like or you don't like. But I think at the end of the day, if you don't like it, then don't play it, right? If it's truly something you don't like, then don't play it. But I think give a game a chance. I think you should always give a game a chance, okay? And then again, even if you don't like it, evaluate what it is about it that you don't like, okay? Try to do that, because there is a lot of times, and be specific. Don't be vague. Say, I just didn't like it. Well, what is it that you didn't like? It really does help you, and it helps you in the future when you experience new games. Okay. I don't know why I wanted to talk about that.
There's one thing I just wanted to add to it. And so we were talking about the people who love Magic, right? And they kind of compare everything. There's also the opposite end of that, to where it's just like you're kind of getting fed up with Magic, you're trying these other games, and you're still comparing them to the game that you aren't enjoying right now, but you just keep constantly playing Magic because to you there's nothing else like it, or something that's really grabbing your attention. So it's also like, well, just because you're only playing Magic, you're not enjoying yourself. You're not enjoying card games in general, because you're forcing yourself to be playing something Magic that you're just not having fun with anymore, just because you've been doing it for so long. And well, it's the same thing of, well, I've been here for 10 years, so I'm going to just keep doing it, you know?
Why you got to say that?
So
did you?
So is so it's, you know, you can kind of look out and just don't compare things to Magic if that's in a state of mind that you're in. Just take the game for what it is.
Yeah, take the game for what it is. And the other thing too is, I think
you gotta say that.
You know why I said that, don't you? Or maybe you don't. I don't know. We'll talk about it after. But I think a lot of that does come down to people who are just comfortable. Like I'm comfortable, and this literally applies to like so many different things in life, not just card games. It's kind of crazy. It really is. This is not where I thought this conversation was going to go, in all honesty.
You're like, damn it, Jim.
But I think a lot of that comes down to is you are getting lazy, you're getting stuck in your ways. And I'm not that's it. Like I'm not trying to externalize any of this. I'm really trying, and I encourage anyone listening or watching, internalize this, okay? Because it's going to make you happier. It's going to make you happier, right? And when I'm playing these card games, I want to be happy. Like, this is literally the reason we are called Hobbies and Happiness. Like, we do this stuff because it makes us happy. I will segue very well into Star Wars Unlimited, okay? In a second, okay? Like, these games make us happy. Jim has been having a blast with Disney Lorcana, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We were here what was it, yesterday? 2 days ago? I forget when.
I can't remember.
Me and Dan were just sitting here.
I think it was yesterday.
Oh, yeah. We were just sitting here playing Disney Lorcana or deck building and going over stuff for 4 hours.
It's like all we were doing.
We didn't even realize. Dan looks at the clock. He's like, oh, it's midnight. I'm like, oh, I got work in 3 hours.
Dude, like it is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and in all honesty, I love that. I don't care what game it is.
Yeah.
And like, we're having a blast with Lorcana. Star Wars Unlimited, also so much fun. I'm personally having a lot of fun with Alpha Clash. I mean, I'm the one kind of spending more of that time. I'm going to get Jim more into it. It's on my list. I got it, guys. Because I think it is a very strong game. I think it's a very strong game. But anyway, and like we're doing it because this is the stuff that we have a ton of fun with. Yeah. And like when Jim is talking about Lorcana, like I think he's probably having more fun than I am. That's because the deck that I'm building and playing is not very good.
It 100% is, dude. You're stressing so much about it. Oh man.
It's been, but in all honesty, it's been fun building it. I just need to abandon it onto the next idea. And that's how theory crafting goes, guys. That's what happens.
Apparently, Dan tells me yesterday, he's like, this can't even beat a starter deck by a person who doesn't even play card games.
Yeah, it couldn't. It literally couldn't. It was so bad. But anyway, that's another story for another day, in all honesty. But again, guys, like do the stuff that makes you happy. Okay. Yeah. And look for those things. Even if you're playing a game, like again, let's say you've been playing Magic for a long time. Like go back. Why did you start playing it? Like go back to that. Remind yourself of those. Stop. Don't always look for the negative. But if you truly are not enjoying yourself, go find another card game. Go find another card game.
Yeah.
Like
I understand that like you're super invested into it, but like you can spend $30, $50 2 starter decks for a different card game. Learn how it is.
Assuming there's product available.
Assuming, I'm not saying for any specific game. It could be something else. And
maybe
just
Shadow
try
vs.
something
Evolve. Maybe there you go. Maybe it's Shadow vs. Evolve, guys. We got a bunch of these.
Try it.
Try it. I still got to open these too.
Or any other card game that you might have been interested in that you stopped playing when you were a child. I don't know. Anything.
There's so many games out there. And I guarantee you, if you find a game, you will be able to find people who are also play that game.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Get a webcam. Just get a webcam right above there.
There's people playing the World of Warcraft TCG.
Are they really?
It's been dead for like close to 20 years. Yeah. And I have a bunch of it still.
Yeah. So I want to segue now into Star Wars Unlimited, right?
Yes.
Because I will tell you, when we played this at GenCon, I was kind of really blown away.
Yeah.
Because I was very much floored with how tight the gameplay felt.
Yeah.
Like we talked specifically about that word tight, right? Yeah. Well, and let me ask you, Jim, like how would you describe tight gameplay? Okay. So describe for the viewers and listeners what you think we mean or what we mean when we say tight gameplay.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know exactly how it is you're referring to, but like for me, in our match that we were doing, it did seem very close in terms of back and forth gameplay of we're trying to do stuff, he's able to stop us, he's trying to do stuff, we're able to stop him. It seemed pretty back and forth. But we did hear other things while we were at GenCon from other people's experiences.
Yeah. So before we get to that, what I kind of mean when I say very tight gameplay is I think it felt like every single decision mattered.
Oh, okay.
Every card mattered.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, every action that you took in that game mattered.
Yeah.
And I think that's also the nature of you do a thing, I do a thing. You do a thing, I do a thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. When you work within that type of system, if there are any cards or any actions that say you get to do another thing after you do a thing,
it's so strong.
That is so strong and inherently powerful. Okay. Yeah. Right. Now that can also lead to broken things, right? If you're not careful from a design standpoint, right? Yeah. But it makes those moments feel it makes those moments feel extra special, right? And I think that's also another word that I would kind of describe that short experience with that demo. Okay, is it did feel very special, like right? Yeah. It was very. I had a ton of fun, but let's Yeah, like Jim just mentioned, like there were we heard a lot of we talked to a lot of different people about Source Unlimited, right? What one were you thinking of just now?
Well, towards the end of Gen Con, when we were grouped up with a bunch of people, the one kid, I don't even know his name, he was talking about how, oh yeah, my friend did it, and they didn't like it. He played it. He wasn't a fan of the gameplay, but they were also saying that one deck just completely destroyed the other one, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And we were thinking, it's like, all right, well, it's not just that one deck's completely broken over the other.
These were like half starter decks.
Like
as well, by the
it was
way,
20 card decks.
Yeah, it was
something along those lines.
You barely had any. Right?
We have next to no cards.
Right. We don't even know how to play it, but we do know how to play the game.
But it's like I understand looking at the game mechanics and being like, oh, well, it's just I'm not enjoying it, or I don't think it's a good game. But just to be like, oh, the one deck was way more powerful than the other one, it's not a good game. I don't think that's a good reason.
I don't think that's an accurate assessment either. Regardless of whatever game you're talking about, right? Because again, you have to use those games as data points, right? And I never think it's very fair to see one thing and then make an ultimate conclusion based off of that one time, right? And so, I mean, I think for us, it was nice because like we had both of us. It was 2 against 1, basically.
Yeah, it was. That guy wasn't ready for.
So Aaron, so we were able to play against one of the designers, Aaron. Okay, and then we got to chat with him afterwards for a little bit, which was great as well. Yeah. But it was literally like I'm sitting here with the cards, and I've got Jim to my left, and we're like, all right, Jim, here's what we got. What do you think? What do you think we're gonna do here, man? So that was fun. We played.
Dude had a rough time, man.
He had a rough time, and we beat him.
Yeah,
but yeah, exactly. It came down to the wire. I thought it was gonna be blowout. It was very very close. Yeah, right. Because again,
he started picking it up in the late game. It seemed like.
Every decision really does matter, right? And because of that, you have to know your deck. You have to know what your deck is doing. Yep. You have to know your gameplay and stick to that. Yep. And that is where we were at the disadvantage, right? Because we didn't know every single card that we were going to play. We knew some of the cards from the spoilers, right? Yep. We didn't know every single one of them yet. And then we did get to see a few cards for the first time during that demo, which was neat as well. So that's where we were at the disadvantage.
And I love that we never played that green card when he died. You put him into your resource.
We didn't even draw him.
No, we drew him a couple. We put him. Yeah, we had to put him as a resource.
Did we do it on purpose?
Yes.
Oh, we did.
You decided it, and I was like, sure, why not?
Oh, I think we just had too many other good cards.
Yeah, we did.
We had too many other good cards. Yeah. And then that stinking I had that ATST. Was it the ATST? Let me look. I think it was the ATST. Yeah. I had that card stuck in my hand. I put it down. He bounced it. So hang on.
And then we could never find another time to play it.
We couldn't.
Yeah, no.
He bounced it with. Okay, so all right. So here's the ATST. The ATST is a 6-cost villainy. 6/7 Imperial Vehicle Walker with Overwhelm. Again, if you're familiar with other games, Overwhelm is essentially Trample. Okay, if you're familiar with Magic, there's other games that have similar mechanics, right? So we played that, okay, and we were getting ready to we were threatening with that card, right? Yeah. Very much threatening, but then he bounced it with Waylay. That's what it was. 2
cards under.
Yep. Waylay is a 3-cost Cunning card. Says return a non-leader unit to its owner's hand, and that only costs 3. So that's, I mean, that was a big in the grand scheme of things. That was a big tempo swing, right? Especially when you can't attack right away, not with that card, right? Yeah. I couldn't attack right away with that card. So I was stuck holding that into my hand, and then I resourced the ATST in like one of the last couple turns of the game because we just drew into some real spice, and we were able to finish it out.
Barely.
But again, it makes every single decision mean something and matter. Okay. In a couple of weeks, I kind of want to touch on it very briefly now, but there was an article, Sam Black wrote an article so from the time we're recording this, he wrote this article last week. Okay. And it was essentially why he doesn't like putting games that utilize cards from your hand as face down resources. Yeah. Why he does not like that as a mechanic. He articulates his points very, very well. Okay. We're basically going to dedicate an entire episode to that article because it is a phenomenal article. I don't agree with every single point, but even the points I don't agree with, he articulates it very well. And so both Jim and I, we're going to dive into that article, get our thoughts, and then kind of tell you guys whether or not we agree, disagree, and then why. And so if you haven't read it, we'll basically read. It's a very short article, so we're going to go through that article basically piece by piece and really dive deep into that. And so that works very well because, again, Star Wars Unlimited is a game that utilizes cards from your hand as face down resources. Okay. So anyway, again, ATSC was a card that we ended up putting face down as a resource because we weren't able to find another time to utilize it.
Yep.
Right.
Which is honestly kind of a huge tempo play for just 3 mana that he did.
Exactly. Right.
Oh, it was huge.
Right. Because we paid 6. We paid 6 to get that out. And then he only paid 3 because I wasn't able to attack with it at all.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to attack once with it. And then I think, when did he dropped Chewbacca at some point?
Yeah, I forget. But then he took initiative, and so we were just able to kill it without him attacking with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, we did get 2 for 1, but it's also all right, kind of worth it.
Right. So there were quite a lot of sweet moments in that game. Probably the best moment was we got out Vader.
Oh yeah.
And then just going
goodness.
crazy with Vader. I love Vader.
Awesome.
Vader is so good. Also, you know what else is really great?
Starting with 2
open fire. The 3 cost deal 4.
Yeah.
The 3 cost aggression, just deal 4. Oh man. Super good. What were you saying?
I was gonna say starting with 2 mana.
Oh yeah, just starting with 2 resources.
Yeah.
That's so the way this game works is basically at the start of your game. It's the start of game procedure. Basically, is each player puts down 2 cards from their hand face down as resources. So instead of starting with 0, both players start with 2 resources. So on turn 1, the first turn of the game. Again, it's a shared turn structure.
Yep.
Each player has 2 resources already to go.
Yep.
Which I think works very well for a game like this, where it is a shared turn structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can start developing your board right away. Yeah, it's just the more cards that I see, just the more and more I get excited because when we left, right, I was left feeling so much more excited for this game. And again, this is another game that is very different from many other any other TCG, any other TCG on the market. And I'm just I'm very, very excited about this game. More excited after I got done with that. I mean, what was your initial takeaway when we got up and left?
Oh
that?
Man, I was I had a blast playing with all the different control spells, seeing the characters, seeing all the stuff. If you're a Star Wars fan, you're gonna see so many things you love in this game. It just felt really. It was complex, but it was also very simple. It seemed like in terms of since it was just going back and forth, you do a thing, I do a thing. It just seemed very simple to understand, nothing too crazy. But the gameplay was very fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, I think at its heart, at its core, it's simple from the standpoint of, like you said, you would do a thing, I do a thing, and then we just pass back and forth.
Yep.
And then when it's your turn, you essentially get to take an action, right? You get to take one of the available actions, and then once you do, okay, now it's your turn. You get to do your thing.
And the complexity also comes in because it's, since there's so many different things that you're able to do, and like Dan is saying, like the gameplay is super tight, like you kind of have to not mess up because otherwise you can get punished. You can get punished bad. And
you can get punished fast.
Yeah.
Like it happens very quickly. Yeah. And that was the other thing. Like I noticed that my misplays were capitalized on immediately.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing too was initiative really mattered.
Oh, yeah.
So initially, I thought the initiative, right, was going to be one of those throwaway mechanics, like just one of those actions that you can do. It really, really matters.
Yeah.
And again, I just go back to the tight, like how it felt so tight, right? And that's just one of those things that, again, every single decision mattered.
Yeah.
What to put down as a resource, what card to play, the order in which you play your cards, everything mattered. Every single thing mattered.
Because it's not like you can just play everything and then like move to attacks and take your turn. It's am I playing a card now, or do I now have to swing with my important, if I have to swing with Vader first because he's going to be able to take it out on his turn.
The one thing we did not do that did not come up, and we talked about this afterwards, okay, was there was not one time where we passed, waited to see what your opponent was going to do, see if they were going to pass. Because then if they pass, turns over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's if I pass, okay, and then if my opponent does something, it still goes back to me. Then I get it. Then I get to do a thing. Yeah. Every single action was an actual action. There was no pass. Okay, you do a thing. Okay, now I will capitalize on it.
Yep.
But that's another one of those actions that, again, can very much matter and also turn the tide.
Yeah. Right? We were also trying to play as proactive as possible.
Our deck was very proactive.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it wasn't like, we're going to wait for him to play something and then kill it.
I think the Luke Skywalker deck was, again, we're talking about 20 card decks here, right? I think that deck initially is still supposed to be reactive. Okay. I think. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. But yeah, we were very much the beatdown. We were 100% trying to be the beatdown. Okay. Yeah. And I think you kind of have to be with the deck and the cards that we were playing specifically. Yeah. So, I was in all honesty, I was surprised. And again, I think this does just go back to the whole you like what you like thing, right? I was surprised to hear of folks who did not enjoy the experience, who did not like it. But again, like I said, I think it just comes back to you like what you like, right? Yeah. But yeah, overall, I had so much fun. And again, we only played it the one time because we were busy like all of GenCon, right? We didn't have a ton of time, but we were just so busy. But I'm glad we started off with that. And then there were times where we ran into Xander quite a few other times.
He's like, hey guys,
what's up? And so that was cool.
Yeah. But honestly, it's kind of difficult to forget about me, So I understand.
True.
I understand.
Okay. Did you have a card that like was a standout for you in that demo that we played? Whether or not like just that overperformed?
Yeah. Let me find that guy. Yeah, here he is. The Stormtrooper Lieutenant. When played, you may attack with a unit. If it's an Imperial, give it +2/+L.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, that card's dumb.
Yes.
2 cost, a dumb card.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Yeah, like Imperial
that
matters.
Got us so much of value.
It did. It got us a lot of value. Because I think, what did we buff? Do you remember what we buffed?
I don't even remember.
I don't remember what we buffed either. No. Okay, here's what we buffed. We buffed this First Legion Stormtrooper. We buffed the First Legion Stormtrooper.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
All right. So the First Legion Stormtrooper, this was a sick moment, right? Because we did this. We only did this once, I think, but we got a ton of value.
Yeah.
So the First Legion Stormtrooper is a 2-cost, 2/2 aggression villainy. Oh, it's just a 2/3. 2 cost, 2/3.
Yeah.
Okay, Imperial Stormtrooper, and says while attacking a damaged unit, this unit gets +2/+0 and gains Overwhelm.
Yeah.
So we went from a 2/3 to a 6/3 with Overwhelm.
Yeah.
And yeah, we destroyed a unit.
yeah.
I think we destroyed a unit, and then we dealt like 5 damage or something to the base.
Yeah.
Like it was something crazy.
I don't remember how we killed Yoda, but
I don't remember how we
like
did
he
either.
dropped Yoda. Yoda did literally nothing. Garbage card. Dies to removal. How dare he? I think we just open fired on him.
I think we did.
Because it's
I think we
for
did.
life.
Yeah, I think we did. Did Yoda literally do nothing?
Yoda didn't restore any health, but he did draw a card off of Yoda. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. We were like, oh, hi, old Yoda.
Yeah,
because
nice.
it's oh yeah, he's Yoda, old master. We're like, yeah, hey, what's up, Yoda? Goodbye.
We
See ya.
ain't messing with this
Yeah.
open fire.
Yeah. Yep. Those stormtroopers did not miss that shot.
Yeah.
Oh
Open
man.
fire is an amazing card, especially when you start with 2 mana already, and you're just like,
Oh,
one
yeah.
deal 4 for 1 mana, essentially.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. In the grand scheme of things, yeah. Oh goodness. You know what else is a card?
What's wrong?
And I loved this card. Imperial Interceptor. 4
Oh, yeah,
cost
the
aggression.
spaceship.
Oh,
My
man.
goodness.
3/2/1 played. You can deal 3 damage to a space unit.
Yeah,
Oh.
dude, that card was amazing.
Dude, again,
So good.
guys, I don't think I can adequately get across to you like how stoked I am for this game. It felt so good.
Yeah, it did.
It felt so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
If you're a fan of card games, you will find something in this game that you just absolutely love.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this. What did you think and how did you feel about the 2 different battlefields, the space and the ground? How did you think that went? What did you think about that?
Honestly, I thought the exact same thing of how I thought about Lorcana. I was going to be terrible at it. I was going to focus on one thing and just get blown out because of the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But really managing both of them seemed it's very different because I've never played a game like that. But it wasn't too bad. I did really enjoy it. It wasn't very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually real enjoyable when you're able to be like, all right, I'm kind of losing on the battlefield. Let's go into space and drop something that we just know he can't take care of, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you want to bring Yoda and Chewbacca on the ground? And we're like, hey, we're going into space now.
Yeah, we're going to go into space.
Yeah, we're going to make plays happen.
Well, now, how do you think that's going to come into play from a deck building standpoint? Like because again, we talk about the theory crafting side a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
We've been building a lot of decks recently. Like I've been building a lot of decks, like in Lorcana, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun. Like deck building, guys. Deck building is one of the most fun things you can do in all of card games.
Yeah.
I know there are people who just prefer to pilot and not build. Like I know those people exist. I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
But start building decks. Okay.
Just don't build a bad deck.
No, build a bad deck. You got to build a bad deck.
Don't build a bad deck and quit the game because you built a bad deck.
Correct. But you build bad decks to then build good decks.
Yeah.
Right? So you're the first deck you're going to build is going to be bad. It's going to be 100%, right?
Yeah.
The idea might be sound, and then if the idea is sound, wait, maybe they will come out with more cards in future sets to make
Dan's
that
hopeful.
archetype better, okay?
Dan's hopeful. So am I.
Well, like again, we look at there's an Alpha Clash. There's a deck that I'm building, right now. That I'm like, I know what some of these cards are going to be, and this is going to be a very good deck. Like I know it, 100%. I know it's going to be a good deck, right?
Yeah.
And I think like approach it from that standpoint, right? Approach it from. And look at it. Don't just look at a card and say bad card, right? Like when we do set reviews, right?
Yeah, who would do that?
No. But what I'm saying is like, we'll say like we'll give it a rating. Like, let's say we give it a rating, but don't just look at the rating. Look at the context.
Yeah.
Like, look at that context. And there are some people who prefer to, when they give their ratings, the rating is the context, like need support. I personally, I don't like doing it that way, and I understand why people do that.
Yeah.
But I still like I'm going to give it a S, A, B, or whatever it is, but then provide that additional context of it's C, but here's why it's C. This could be A in future if given X, Y, and Z, right? So look at that context, right? But going back to Star Wars Unlimited and a deck building standpoint, how do you think it's going to go for you as a deck builder? And are you looking forward to it?
Honestly, I'm going to put way too many control cards in it, and I'm just going to get blown out by a bunch of threats because I'm going to get like 2-for-1s all the time. I'm sure of it. I don't know exactly how it's going to be for me to build. I know I'm just going to want to build red, black something. Because I got to go with Darth Vader because he's just kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the other colors have something cool in them. It's just, what else am I going to throw in there?
Right. And again, especially when it's a new game, you got to start building decks to get a feel for how decks needs to be constructed. And then you play, it goes bad. Okay, let's make an adjustment. And you're always going to be making adjustments.
And I do think, and I've kind of noticed this in Lorcana, but I think in this game as well, starting with essentially some form of mid-range deck, have a good amount of threats, have a good amount of control stuff, and kind of just play the game. Essentially playing fair Magic, right?
Right.
Playing a fair deck, and just outvalue your opponent where you can. It's like, oh, they bring out something crazy. Okay, I have some control spells to take care of it.
Don't start with trying to build a control deck.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. It may be, you may think it's going to be fun. Don't do it.
Why are you pointing at them? Point at me. Point at me.
Well, it's kind of what I did too, because we both did it.
Yeah, I know.
Why did we do that? Oh, I know why we did it. Because we pulled 4 of one single
fun.
card. It was fun. It was fun. We had fun.
Yeah.
We got stories.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stories.
Life's about stories, Dan.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
And then eventually, as Dan and I are playing more of the game, I'm like, Dan, I think you just need more bodies on the fields.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, I'm just gonna abandon this and do something else. Right. But again, and the other thing too is like in any set one, I personally don't like limited environments. Like I'm not a limited player. I know people are limited, and it's an important format.
Yeah.
Limited and sealed, they're important formats for 100%. They are.
Sure.
They are.
It does get us more cards out in the market, so yeah, I like it.
True.
Keep it going.
True. But like it's not a format for me. Like I'm a constructed person through and through. Like I love playing constructed decks. I love constructing decks. Yeah. That's just my bread and butter. That's the stuff that I enjoy doing, right? Yeah. Because again, you like what you like, right? However, I still recognize the importance and value of draft, sealed, limited, all those different types of environments. Yeah. They're very important, right? And from time to time, I have been known to dabble in maybe a 2-headed giant.
Yes. That was
draft
2 years, 3 years?
3 years ago?
Oh my goodness,
yeah,
3
dude,
years ago?
Cow, that's crazy.
Ugh.
That was 5 hours of our life.
No, it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
I don't know. It was a few
It's
years
21.
ago. Yeah, it was 21.
Yeah. Because we were doing this.
It was 5 hours of our life we're never going to get
my
back.
goodness.
Was it 5 hours?
Yeah, it was 5 hours. Oh, yeah.
I had a good time, but it's one of those times I don't want to have again.
I will never do that again.
Yeah.
All right, that's a lie. I'll probably do it again, but
in a different,
I'm going to just take it with a grain of salt and do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, you want to do a 2-headed giant draft? It's only 6 hours. Yeah, sure.
Actually, what I would do, I would make the deck money draft and then drop tournament. No, I wouldn't. I'm joking.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway, back to Star Wars Unlimited.
Oh yeah, what's this game again? I don't even think I played this game before.
Yeah. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Get there. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Star Wars Unlimited, again, I can't stress to you guys enough how excited I am for this game. It was a lot of fun, and I think there's going to be something here for every card game player. Okay, whether or not it's going to be enough to keep you whether or not it's going to be enough to get you to stay in the game is another conversation altogether. But I think there is going to be something here to pull every single player into this game. Okay. So with that being said, before we move on, we've got something to talk about. Do you have anything else that you kind of want to touch on that you enjoyed that you want to mention about Star Wars Unlimited before we move on at GenCon?
Specifically about Star Wars Unlimited, no. But I just would like to continue with, if you're not happy in a game that you are playing, or anything in life you're not happy with, change it. Otherwise, it can consume you, and it just makes your day or days far worse. So find stuff that makes you happy and do it.
Agree. I think change it and then evaluate why you were doing what you were doing. Like, again, like if you were doing something that you stopped enjoying, okay, go back and evaluate, why did I start it, and what was it like? What was that spark? What was that spark that got me doing it, right? And then look for that thing again, okay? And then just again find something that you enjoy doing. Okay, whether that be Star Wars Unlimited, whatever.
As long as it's not self-destructive.
Yes, right. So, So with that being said, we have you know what we have, Jim?
Something that makes us happy?
Yeah, and you know what that is?
What's that, Dan?
It's a new card.
What do you mean a new card?
We have a new Star Wars Unlimited card to talk about for the card of the week.
Do you mean like never before seen anywhere?
Yeah, that's right. Never before seen anywhere. We are, I think,
kind of a big deal?
We are kind of a big deal. First time on the podcast, first time on the card of the week segment, we have a preview card, our very own Star Wars Unlimited preview card. So thanks to FFG for giving us the opportunity to showcase a new spoiler card for you all. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it right here. So this card, we have seen a new leader, a few. So at the time of recording, I think this was spoiled maybe last week. I think this was spoiled last week, but another leader entered the arena. It was Boba Fett. Okay, so Boba Fett collecting the bounty is that's villainy and cunning. He's a villainy and cunning leader. And he has the ability, when an enemy unit leaves play, you may exhaust this leader if you do ready a resource. That seems pretty decent. That's pretty decent. He's an underworld bounty hunter, and then epic action. If you control 5 or more resources, you can deploy the leader. And then when you deploy him, Boba Fett is a 5-cost 4/7. When this unit completes an attack, if an enemy unit left play this phase, ready up to 2 resources. Wow. That's a leader. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is set 1. Were you surprised that we are seeing a Boba Fett leader in set 1?
No, I'm not.
Really?
Boba Fett is one of the biggest characters in the entire Star Wars universe.
I would agree with that. I'd agree with that statement. Yeah.
I mean, he has his own TV show, right? This is The Mandalorian.
Jim.
But this dude had like 5 words in a movie, got 13 minutes screen time, dies, and people are like, he's amazing.
He's my hero. Yeah. So there were a lot of people, myself included, super stoked that we are seeing a Boba Fett leader in set 1.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, now that we have Boba Fett, that's probably going to be one of the decks that I want to build first is Boba Fett. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who want to build a Boba Fett deck with a Boba Fett leader. Okay.
Yeah.
And we've got a new card that is probably going to fit right into that deck. And you know what? It's another Boba Fett. So this is Boba Fett Disintegrator. Ooh. Boba Fett Disintegrator is a ground unit. I gotta say though, I love that sub name. Disintegrator. Yeah. Love it. Absolutely perfect. Okay. So Boba Fett Disintegrator is a 3-cost villainy and cunning unit. He's a 3/5 underworld bounty hunter, and then has on attack. If this unit is attacking an exhausted unit that didn't enter play this round, deal 3 damage to the defender. And so Boba Fett is a legendary card. So this is one of, I think we've seen some other legendary cards, not a lot already so far, but yeah, this is another Boba Fett. Jim, what's your first takes? What's your initial first takes of Boba Fett?
Well, I mean, I love dealing 3 damage to stuff, and this has 3 3s on it. It's 3 cost, 3 attack, deal 3 damage to something when after you kill, or no, it's not even killing.
No, so that's the thing is the conditions. Yeah. There's a few conditions here. So let's go over that again. Okay, so it says on attack. If this unit is attacking an exhausted unit that didn't enter play this round, deal 3 damage to the defender. Okay.
Yes.
So again, the unit that it's attacking already needs to be exhausted.
Yep.
And when units enter play, they enter exhausted.
Yep.
Okay. So it's basically, for all intents and purposes, you could kind of rephrase it to say if this unit is attacking an exhausted unit, right?
Yeah.
It's just you're forgetting about the ones that enter play.
Yeah.
Okay. You set those ones to the side.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
as long as it attacks, deal 3 face. Well,
say that again.
I said as long as it attacks an exhausted unit, that hasn't entered, deal 3 face. Deal 3 damage to the defender. Or is it
to the defender?
Oh,
not the base.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Okay. I'm thinking it was
deal,
like the
deal
person
3 damage
is
to the defender.
Oh, okay. I like this even more now because now it's
So Jim has a bad habit, guys. Okay. Jim has a very bad habit. Jim likes to not read stuff.
I like to not read cards.
He likes to not read and then assume what they do.
I'm thinking like 3 to character, 3 to base.
No.
And I'm like, I like this.
Things. It's none of those things.
But I still like this because now you don't have to, if you're just going to be dealing something 3 damage and it's going to die to it. You don't have to anything. You don't have to take that back.
He doesn't take that back, right?
Or you can deal 6 to something, and sure, he potentially dies here, but you have that variety or that versatility of kill something low, not take the backlash.
But again, there's those conditions.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
It's just, and I guess the only condition is it's exhausted.
Yeah, exhausted.
That's the only condition. It's just exhausted, right?
As long as it wasn't played that turn.
Right.
So.
Right. So it needs to be exhausted and just did not enter play that turn.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I like it.
Yeah, I 100%.
3 costs.
And it's only, that's the thing. It's 3, dude. It's 3. Wow. It's only 3.
Yeah. That's pretty hot.
Yeah. So again, with that condition of exhausting something, and which, who knows? Maybe we'll get stuff that I don't know, exhaust stuff. That's the thing. That's the only the only thing. Just give me stuff that exhausts stuff, and then that's gonna make Boba Fett so much better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it just makes the condition kind of not matter at that point, right? So yeah, Boba Fett Disintegrator, such a good card. I mean, for all intents and purposes, you could look at it as a 6/5.
Yeah.
For a 3, dude, I just can't. Yeah. That's the thing. I can't get over that, man.
Or kill something for 3 and not have to take damage.
Which
is super value.
Oh my goodness.
Super value.
Yeah. And then with the good dude, it's crazy. I cannot get over how crazy this card is.
Yeah, I like it.
Very, very, very much.
Throwing a little bit of red, I'd be running Darth Vader, have the yellow base, throw in a bunch of control stuff, have Boba Fett as well.
But the thing is though, in all honesty, just protect a Boba Fett with a bunch of Sentinels.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And then like you're not able to touch Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And then when you attack, guess what? You have to attack into the Sentinel.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you've got
guess who's gonna be
and
tapped.
now here comes Boba Fett. Man. It's
so they would be taking damage from attacking the Sentinels, and then whatever damage they have on them, Boba Fett could just be coming and clean up.
Like Boba Fett is, man.
Yeah, this is nice.
This is Boba Fett Disintegrator will pair up super well with Sentinels. So, real quick, I want to look through because we don't have a ton, but let's see. I mean, if you're playing this with Emperor's Royal Guard, while you control an now you probably wouldn't, because again, Emperor's Royal Guard is command. It's command villainy. Okay. And
Which is green.
And yes, it's green.
He only
what's that?
I said, yeah, you could play those 3.
You could, but again, this unit only gains Sentinel when you control an official. You have to control an official unit. Okay. And then he gets buffed when you control Emperor Palpatine. Okay. Yeah. So that's one. That keeps doing that. Oh, goodness gracious! I would like to go back, please.
Cell Block Guard has Sentinel.
Cell Block Guard. Yep. That's probably one of the big ones that you'd run.
And he's a 3/3.
Cell Block Guard is yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Cell Block Guard, and that's you'll probably max out on Cell Block Guards because that's only villainy. So 3 cost villainy, 3/3 Sentinel.
And you could even, like, if you're mixing a different color, or I don't know which one this is, but Chewbacca, because they share the cunning, I believe it is. So then you could have Chewbacca as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then Chewbacca's
amazing.
Chewbacca is phenomenal. And we're specifically talking about the ground unit, right?
Yes.
So Chewbacca we said he has cunning as well as heroism. Okay. So Chewbacca's cunning, heroism, 5 cost, 3/6 Sentinel, and then when this unit is attacked, ready him. So you could utilize Chewbacca, buff him up, attack, damage something, right? And then come in with Boba Fett. Oh man, there's a lot of things that you could really do.
Yep.
Super well with Boba Fett. So yeah, I think you're probably going to see a lot of Boba Fett disintegrators with Sentinels, and I think that's going to be a big home for him.
Yep.
But even if you don't have Sentinels, it's still a great card. Even in a vacuum, a phenomenal card.
Mix in a little bit of red for little damage output, and then you come in with the. So then it's not like it's a 2-for-1, kind of is, but you don't have to worry about that backlash damage.
Assuming you get enough in there,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, like an open fire +3 kind of kills
a lot of
seems
stuff.
like
a lot of
almost
stuff.
everything.
Right.
Yeah,
assuming there's no shield tokens you got to worry about.
Yep.
And again, now we're seeing a lot of stuff now to where shield tokens matter, right? And shield tokens are basically if this unit is going to be dealt damage, you just remove a shield token.
Also, if a unit with 3 defense has a shield token on it, he still kills it, but then takes backlash damage because it's 2 different instances of damage.
Yeah, it should be 2 instances.
It's first deal the 3, blow up the token, and then go ahead and for the kill.
Correct. Yep.
I like.
And that's another thing too, like kind of getting around shield tokens, right? Yep. Again, so many use cases for Boba Fett Disintegrator. So, again, thank you to FFG for that spoiler.
Amazing card.
Such a good card, dude.
Amazing.
Such an amazing card. I'm excited. I'm more excited now for the Star Wars Unlimited deck. So yeah, Boba Fett Disintegrator. I'm stoked. Ooh, such a cool card.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah. Final thoughts for Star Wars Unlimited. Again, I'm I'm just excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show me more cards. Get me cards. I wanted to take those cards from GenCon.
I almost walked away with them. I was this close. I was telling Dan, I'm like, Dan, do it. Do it. All right. Cause a distraction.
Look over there.
Is that a unicorn?
It's Yoda. You know what? You probably could have been. Hey, look, it's the Mandalorian.
Oh my!
You know, there were a
goodness.
bunch of people there with that cosplay parade. We saw quite a few Mandalorians actually. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, that was Star Wars Unlimited. I'm very much looking forward to this game. Yep. Can't wait. And then gonna be doing some more content for Star Wars Unlimited. So again, let me know, what did you guys think? Like, did you go to Gen Con? What was your initial impressions, takeaways from Gen Con regarding Star Wars Unlimited? Let us know. Very interested to know. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. Shoot us an email, and just let us know. Like, what did you think? Were you one of the people who didn't like it? Let us know why. Like, why did you not like it? What was it about it? Right. Mm-hmm. And again, remember, be specific. Like, try to distill your thoughts and down to very specific either criticisms or praises. Like, what is it specifically that you liked or did not like, right? Yeah. And then evaluate it from there. Like, look and see, are there other games that utilize this, or what have you? Because I think it's going to help you in the long run be happy in this hobby that is card games. So thanks a lot for everybody being here. I had a ton of fun. Jim, again, I want to know, give me your final thoughts about Star Wars Unlimited. Like, where are you personally with this game as it stands right now, in your kind of excitement level or lack thereof?
As of right now, I love seeing all the variety of cards. I think it's extremely important to be able to get other people, new and just people from other card games into it. And I'm really stoked. Yeah. I'm really stoked for it.
Yeah. So hobbies and happiness equals stoked for Star Wars Unlimited.
Hashtag stoked.
Hashtag stoked. Yeah. So that's it. So again, thanks everybody for being here. But before we get out of here, Jim, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram at Jim Morgan HNH. You
guys can find me on Twitter at _DJ Campbell, Instagram Daniel.J.Campbell. If you head over to our website, hobbiesnhappiness.com. That's right, hobbies, the letter N, happiness.com. You can find links to all of our social platforms there. Again, thank you to FFG for the opportunity to spoil Boba Fett Disintegrator on this episode of the podcast. Yes. Another first. This has been a year of firsts, in all honesty, and it's been a lot of amazing firsts. And this is another one I am adding to the scrapbook. The first card spoiled for a card game on the card of the week and the podcast. So thanks again to FFG for that opportunity. And again, thanks everybody for hanging out with us today. Don't forget, next week, we've got an awesome episode planned for you guys. We got Todd Anderson on the show talking all about Lorcana and the transition from Magic to Lorcana. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be an exciting episode. So thanks everybody for being here today, and we'll catch you in the next episode. See you, everybody.
Take care.